Going on, crew? Happy to have you here talking about weight loss and type 1 diabetes. It's going to be a fun chat. Going to dispel some myths. We're going to break down why a lot of frustration surrounds this issue, and we're going to discover our solution and look into how the heck we can get this thing taken care of. See, there's a lot of misinformation surrounding weight loss and type 1 diabetes, and I aim to end that. And I'm excited to talk about it today. So, give me a quick one in the chat. Make sure that we do have audio before we jump in. And if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay in the comments so I know who's watching when. But give me some ones. Make sure that we do have audio before I start breaking this stuff down for you guys. And once I see those coming in, we will hop. And we got a one on Facebook. I love it. All right. Yeah, it looks like we got some people jumping on Instagram, YouTube. Good to see you guys all here. So, with weight loss and diabetes, what is the number one myth that you've heard? I would love to see you guys just toss some comments in. I want to see what other myths are out there. But the number one myth that I've heard, we got a one on YouTube, love it. The number one myth that I have heard surrounding weight loss and type 1 diabetes is that insulin causes weight gain. And I know that some ears are perking up. Really, myth? What do you mean a myth? Insulin caused my weight gain. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but insulin is no longer a viable source of blame for us living with type 1 diabetes when it comes to gaining weight. We can't blame insulin as the thing that caused our weight gain. And I'll get more into that later. But in today's breakdown, in this live training, I do want to shed light on this, but do so in an educational way that allows us to come together and learn together, not in any sense to blame anyone. And I want you to understand this is a safe space to learn, and there will be no pointing the finger, you did something wrong, because with weight loss, there are a lot of variables. Okay, I want to just get that one out there in the beginning. There's a lot that goes into it, right? We look at our metabolism, we look at thyroid health, we look at blood sugars, we look at lifestyle choices, socioeconomic, we look at your age, we look at a ton of stuff, right? But when we break it down within diabetes, look at what's different for us living with type 1, there are a few choices that can benefit us to bring about a better end result. And I often talk to clients about this too, experiencing some frustration with their personal trainers, with their dietitians, their medical teams, saying, you know what, I tried all these different diets, and I won't name them. I'm not going to shame these companies because ultimately they are helping people, but they're not helping people with diabetes, right? And they don't advertise that. It's just that we don't have anywhere to go for weight loss, right? But what happens is, and often this is kind of the telltale sign, is that you will see some success. You'll start to see the pounds coming off, and you're like, I got it. I found my answer. It was keto. It was vegan. It was walk 50 miles a day, whatever the thing is that you're trying. And you're like, I found it. The holy grail of weight loss, right? But the issue is that after losing a couple pounds, even sometimes 20, 30 pounds, depending on how much you have to lose, you end up hitting this plateau, right? And you keep trying the same stuff, but it doesn't continue to work. And you're like, maybe I'll just try harder, right? And you try harder, eat less food, more workouts, more restriction. And ultimately it leads to frustration, right? Because there is a lack of quality of life and a lack of results. And when those are paired, you start to ask yourself, why am I even trying, right? You lose the motivation, you stop going to the gym, things go back to the way they were, if not maybe even worse than before. And it can lead into this really, really destructive cycle, right? And so I aim to end that with some surface level education. And if this is helpful, then we can go deeper on this as well. But looking at weight loss, got a question on Facebook. Cortisol is the source of weight gain. Well, their food probably plays a role too. But when looking at weight loss with type 1, we do have some extra considerations, right, that other people just don't have. But the big picture rules still apply. And one of those big picture rules is blood sugar regulation. We look at what we have to do. There's a lot of extra steps. It's not just one, but we have to put a lot of effort into our blood sugars, right? Think about it from a motivational standpoint. You put all this effort into getting your blood sugars in a decent range so you can work out, right? Maybe you've been fighting lows all morning, or maybe you were high all night and you wake up lethargic and just flat out like you don't want to go out to the gym. You finally get up the motivation to do so. You get to the gym, hop on the treadmill, and then 10 minutes into it, your blood sugars are plummeting. Or maybe the opposite, they're spiking, and you're like, I can't even figure this out. I'm sick of this, right? I just wanted to lose a couple pounds and get to a normal life. And what's most frustrating for a lot of people is the act of exercise often brings about the need for low treatments, because exercise for a lot of people brings blood sugars down, which can be helpful, but not so much when you have to treat that low blood sugar with the calories you just burned, and then the whole workout feels like it was for nothing, right? So, if that's you, today is going to be a little bit of an introduction into what you can do about it. So, what I like to look at with weight loss in general, and if you don't know who I am or why I'm speaking on this, my name is Matt Vandevecht. I'm a certified master fitness trainer and nutritionist. I live with type 1 diabetes. And when I first got into the personal training world, my specialty was weight loss. And I moved into strength training and then athletic performance. And now I use that for my own life as I'm competing in my first ever Olympic distance triathlon in a few days on Sunday. And so I have that coming up. A lot of different sides of fitness and nutrition that I've been able to study over the last decade. And it's been incredible learning about all the new things that science has brought about. But looking at weight loss specifically, I like to focus on three main factors. The three factors are diet, exercise, and insulin. Now, if we can master those three things, weight loss becomes a very straightforward equation. But if those three things are chaotic and unorganized and not committed to, weight loss becomes a bit of a pipe dream, right? It's a lot more difficult to accomplish if you're not following the right rules. The issue is that most people don't know what the rules are because we were never taught them, right? A lot of doctors don't have any knowledge on personal training or on how to lose weight as a type 1 diabetic, because the rules are a little bit different. And oftentimes they'll recommend cutting calories, which is like the most depressing way to do it. Does it work? Yeah, sorta, right? You might lead to a little bit of an alteration in your metabolic process that long term isn't quite as realistic as most of us would like to pretend. But the reality is that there are a series of equations, of formulas that we can follow for the perfect workout, the perfect diet, the perfect blood sugar formula, right? These things exist, but they do take effort to set up. Now, you can go to an expert in each of those fields and ask them to set it up for you. However, I would highly recommend finding an expert that lives with or specializes in type 1 diabetes. There's too many trainers out there, even trainers that I've hired in the past, that know what type 1 diabetes is, because believe it or not, there's actually a couple chapters in the books that we are forced to read for our certifications. But there's not an in-depth understanding of how blood sugars work and why when you're manually injecting insulin. They go over the insulin response in a non-diabetic and then say, oh, but type 1 diabetics have to inject this stuff, right? And so when we look at non-diabetics versus diabetics, there is a discussion within the personal training world, but it doesn't go much further beyond the surface. Now, what's important to recognize, they are also told, don't eat things, don't drink things that spike your blood sugars. Why? Because even if you have a functioning pancreas, your body is pushing out a lot of insulin. And while insulin does not cause fat, it does help fat storage. Difference, okay, I want you to hear me on that. There's a difference, but in a non-diabetic, the more sugary drinks you consume, the more simple sugars you consume in a meal, the more storage of fat will likely result. And so there's a great conversation to be had with correlation versus causation. Does insulin cause me to get fat? No. Is there a correlation with excess insulin and fat storage? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna get that one clear. A great story that is sad, but also a little bit funny is time and time again, I'll get people that come to me and they're like, I can't lose weight. My doctor put me on insulin. I gained 30 pounds right off the bat, and I got super fat and I keep getting fatter. It's impossible to lose weight while taking insulin. So I got to figure out how to stop taking insulin. And I'm like, you're going to end up in the hospital. Please do not stop taking insulin. And they're like, but I have to. Insulin is the reason that I'm fat. And I was like, I'm type 1 diabetic, right? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, I take insulin, right? And they're like, well, yeah. Like, do you think that I'm fat? No, you're like super in shape. Oh, you're super in shape and you take insulin. And I'm like, exactly. So it's not the cause. We just got to be smart about this stuff, right? And to further that, it's not that I'm like the one person that insulin doesn't make fat. Everyone on planet Earth that is alive today has insulin, right? Non-diabetics, their body produces insulin too. There's some really fit people in the world, and they also have insulin in their system. Their pancreas might produce it naturally. But the idea behind it is, how can we optimize our bodies for fat loss? And how can we do so in a healthy manner, right? A lot of people push these caloric restrictions, these really hyper restrictive diet styles. You have to eat certain ways, like restricting whole food groups. And I just don't think that that's appropriate. I don't think it's healthy. And most importantly, I don't think it's a long-term play. I think that most of us can do that for a couple weeks, maybe even a couple months, but long-term we get burnt out and we give up and then go back to our old habits and then gain the fat back. And then we give up because it was all for nothing, right? And so while those different crash diets can be helpful for burning fat, losing weight initially, for most people, they're not realistic long-term. So it is important to remember that. Now, again, looking at diabetes and weight loss specifically, there are rules that we got to follow. Okay. One of them being blood sugar regulation. There is a very important discussion that needs to happen around diabolemia. This, if you don't know what this is, whether you don't know out of ignorance or don't know because, maybe you don't want to know, I'm going to tell you, and if you ever have eating disorders, I'm not going to plug your ears for this one. It's a serious thing. It is where you do not take insulin for the food that you consume because excess sugar gets peed out of the body. That is a very oversimplified version of what that is. But the idea is that if I don't take insulin, my body can't process that, turn it into glucose and store it for later, meaning I won't gain weight from the excess calories that I consume. I just pee it out, right? But the unfortunate reality is that while that may work short term, you are wreaking havoc on your body, your organs, your systems. And over the course of days, weeks, months, years of doing that, it's not a long-term play. And I mean that in a very serious tone. I want you guys to understand that there are significant consequences for those who take that route. I can tell you that I actually personally took a lower version of that route. I don't know how to explain that without saying it directly. I chose to not take insulin for some meals when I was doing modeling way back in the day. It's a very unhealthy lifestyle. My agents told me I had to lose 15 pounds in like 2 weeks, and they don't care about you. They don't care about your health, your mental health. They don't care about anything other than money. I took it as a challenge and found out that you could do that, and it didn't even work as good as I had hoped. And I got really sick. So do not do that. It is not worth it. And it doesn't even work long term, because the second you start taking insulin again, your body is able to process the food, you gain the weight back. It's not a long-term play. Okay. So hear me on this. Do take this very seriously. Diabolemia can be fatal. It can be something that will forever alter your life, as many eating disorders are. So be very cautious with that. Well, don't be cautious. Don't do it. It's not something you should even consider. And if you are struggling with that, seek professional help, please. All that to say, we need insulin to survive. Insulin does not cause us to get fat. It's just optimizing the digestion of the foods that we consume, right? It's storing it appropriately. Now, there are specific workouts that we can do to alter the path of where insulin takes that food, as well as where food gets absorbed in the absence of insulin, like GLUT4 transports. Fancy way of saying your muscles can actually take up glucose as well. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this. You can optimize fitness, you can optimize nutrition, you can optimize lifestyle choices that lead into better optimization of fitness fitness and nutrition. But if your blood sugars are not a priority, it's not going to work anyways, right? So there's a lot that has to be considered. There are a lot of reasons why it is so hard to lose weight with diabetes. But the reality is that it's hard to lose weight for everyone. But you got to pick your hard, right? It's hard to be fat. It's also hard work to get skinny. They're both hard. They're just different versions of being hard, right? So understand that there is no easy path. There's not a magic pill. There are consequences with everything. Even if there was a magic pill, I can guarantee you there would be side effects. And understand that with the right strategies, we can simplify this thing, but it takes time and it must be customized. You cannot follow some cookie cutter generic plan for your diabetes or for your weight loss because we are all different. Whew, I feel like I've been on a soapbox this whole time. Is this one okay for you guys? I feel like it's getting a little bit intense. I'm actually sweating a little bit, although today's kind of hot too. Hey, we got some people in the chat. Okay. Felt, you feel this? Daryl says, hey, just got here. What's going on, Daryl? I see you guys in the chat. Instagram, what's up? Good to see you guys here. Got lots of hearts on the screen. I appreciate you guys. So all that to say, yes, it is possible. And what I found really interesting is that I ignored the science for the last couple of months because I don't know. I guess I didn't think it applied to me. I was like, exercise more. Don't worry about anything else. I ignored everything else. And I actually gained some fat for like the first time in my life while training for an Olympic distance triathlon. Makes no sense, at least on the surface. Now, when you follow the science, we look at the food choices that I made, the insulin choices that I made, and the fitness choices that I made, and they do equal weight gain. I was like, oh my goodness, the guy who's a master fitness trainer messed up. And so I've been on this really interesting journey of reassessing my dietary choices, my workout styles, the timing of my workouts, my insulin strategies as I enter into these workouts. And I believe I have successfully redirected my weight, but also my fitness abilities as I'm getting ready for this race on Sunday, and looking forward to breaking down some more details as I get into that. But I actually sent out a post a few days ago, and if you're interested in the whole topic of weight loss with diabetes, this one's going to be for you. I posted in our Facebook group and said, hey, recently you guys talked about weight loss. I added a few comments about like, hey, try this. This is the structure. This is important to think about. And like 20 people reached out and were like, can you talk to me about what I should do? And so I sent out an email yesterday and I was like, hey, if you think that weight loss is something you'd like me to do a workshop on, and I just spill all the secrets because it's not something I really do anymore, but I spent so many years researching it that I've got the knowledge ready. Like, why not just give it to you guys, right? Said, hey, if you think that we should do a workshop on this, just hit reply, say I'm in. I was like, maybe I'll get like 20 or 30 people. I'll do a little intimate class with them and set them on the right path, right, to lose weight finally. And I checked my email inbox right before this live. I lost track of how many replies there were. I lost track after 100. Judging on how many pages there were of email responses, I'm guessing it's around 150, maybe 200 emails that I got from separate people that said, I need you to do this masterclass or this workshop. So I'm starting to think this is a bigger need than I initially thought. And we might have to actually take this seriously and create some frameworks around it. So if this is something that you think would be helpful for you, this is going to be an open invitation. It's not a thing yet. So I still have to go, create a registration page and all that, so we know who's showing up. But if you think it would be helpful for you, I need you to comment weight loss in the comments. That way I know who else is interested. Either myself or someone from my team will reach out to you. And I don't know when it's going to happen yet. I can tell you whoever registers is going to get the replay, but obviously showing live is going to be the best bet, so you can ask questions about yourself, right? Like, I eat this food. What should I change? I have this goal of 25 pounds by September. How do I do that? And in a workshop, we get a chance to do more of a personal touch where I can interact with you in the chat. And we're going to have some fun with it, break down specific macronutrients, caloric goals that we should aim for, how to track calories without tracking calories, because nobody likes doing that, right? But also, most importantly, that missing it factor, the missing step for how to do so with type 1 diabetes. So if you think that that's something would be helpful for you, like I said, comment weight loss. And like I said, myself or one of my team members will reach out when we have an actual date for that workshop. But judging by the hundreds of people that have reached out so far, I think we might have to upgrade our Zoom before we create the workshop, because I don't know if we can fit everybody in there. And we'll have to do it at a first come, first serve kind of basis. So really pumped about that. I wanted to introduce this topic because it is filled with misinformation and myths, and there is just such a straightforward path that we can follow if we know what we're doing. So my intention is to teach you exactly how to do it, give you guys some templates on the right types of workouts, types of meals, and types of blood sugar strategies, so that you too can finally get past that plateau and actually lose the weight for good. That's my goal for you guys. That's it. So comment weight loss if you think that'll be helpful. If not, we'll shift back to some other topics next week. But I really wanted just to jump in and open this topic up, because too many people are blaming the wrong things, and they're overlooking the simplicity of what is for the weight loss equation. And so we're going to break that down, and I'm really looking forward to it and just geeking out with you guys. That's what I do. I'll probably rant. There's going to be a topic or two that gets me fired up. You guys will probably just laugh at me, but I'm really passionate about this topic because there are too many people struggling needlessly, right? Where you could have the weight that you're after, the body you're after, the mobility, right? The functionality of these incredible bodies that we have that can do so many cool things. And it might be a simple equation tweak that holds you, or that is between you and your best self. So it's possible. There's a healthy way to do it. And I'm going to break it down for you guys. Just drop the word weight loss. I see you guys on Instagram as well. Actually, if you're on Instagram or YouTube, I don't think it lets me save the live comments. So do me a favor and send me a message with the word weight loss. I don't want you to miss out, because I'm pretty sure it deletes comments afterwards. So YouTube and Instagram, send me a DM on Instagram with the word weight loss. If you don't follow me on Instagram and you're on YouTube, it's the same handle, FTF Warrior. Look it up, shoot me a DM, and I'll make sure that I personally get you the invite to it. Okay, so send me a message. That way I don't miss you. And I want to make sure you guys I already see some coming through. Cool. So I really appreciate you guys showing up and just looking to improve yourselves. And not to say that you have to lose weight. No one has to do anything. Do whatever you want, right? But if you want to, and you know that it's going to make you feel healthier, be healthier and happier, and allow you to do things like playing with kids or grandkids, or running a 5K or having fun again, then this is going to be a really important workshop for you. We're going to break it down. All right. So thanks for hanging out. I got to take off, and really appreciate you guys following my journey. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of these tips and tricks and spilling all the secrets with you guys for everybody who's interested in that workshop as well. All right. So have a fantastic rest of your day. Wish me luck on the Olympic. Every time I say it, it's like, wow, why am I doing this? The Olympic distance triathlon. Wish me luck. It's happening on Sunday, and I'll be sure to share some lessons learned from that as well. So I'll catch you guys later. Remember to DM me the word weight loss if you're on YouTube or Instagram. I don't want to miss out on you guys, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll see you next week, and keep up the fight.